Hey everybody, so it's me Jayla. So I just wanted to make a really quick video talking about some of the things I've been reading and thinking about this past week. So I've been reading Wait But Why's Guide to Career Planning as well as Marc Andreessen's Guide to Career Planning, and just had a couple thoughts and insights on both of those. The only thing I really felt didn't quite apply to me was when they talked about college because I'm opting out. But other than that, I agreed with a lot of what they were saying. I feel like a lot of times people view careers as things that you have to just go straight into, stick with it for the rest of your life, and then die. And that's just that. But there's a lot of flexibility and fluidity that you can have even with trying to figure out what you want to do next. So I really like how in Wait But Why he brought up a lot of different metaphors for how we think and approach different things like career planning. One being that of either being a cook, a person who just does things completely as they're told by the book, by the recipe, versus being a chef, someone who puts everything together like custom made by hand, much more like intricate and detailed kind of way. And of course, with when it comes to our careers, you should want to be more into the mindset of that of a chef because it's something that you need to take the time to really build that's completely unique to you. He has a workbook at the end of the article too, so if you haven't gone through it, I'd highly recommend it because I spent like a couple hours just going through because there's a lot of self-discovery and work that you can do like with the article in mind on yourself. Another thing that really stood out to me was when he's talked about what he calls the yearning octopus. It's basically the concept that we have inside of us. An octopus with all its different tentacles representing different areas of our life and different yearnings that we have from those areas. So like you could have a moral tentacle and you yearn to do good things, impact people's lives, or a social tentacle which would drive you to like have power and status and authority and all these different other areas of our lives. The main point though was to take account of those different yearnings that we have and be able to really analyze if the source of those yearnings are actually from us rather than something that's just been instilled in us by our parents, society at large, or whoever else we're hanging around with. That's definitely something I really enjoyed like thinking about and thinking through. Another concept of his was about thinking about your different priorities and what's more high priority in your life versus things that would be nice to have but is not such a priority for you to strive towards. For me, I feel like one of my highest priorities is financial literacy. I feel it's just so important to be able to understand and know how to conduct my personal finances for not just myself, but I want to be able to build a legacy and be able to leave an inheritance for my future children's children's children. And for me, on the same lines, I feel one thing that is one of the things that I thought that I yearned for, but in like taking a closer look at it, it's not really something that originated with me. Was the idea that I should have luxury in my life, like I want to have cars and clothes and whatever else people like, because I feel like that part didn't totally come from me because I feel like it comes from a place of, oh, I should have this because it make me seem like I'm established, like I'm successful and all that stuff. And I don't want to approach things like that in a mindset of just keeping up with the Joneses and everything. So that is one thing that's more on the bottom of my priority list because, of course, it's some stuff that's nice to have, but in all honesty, if you're not like completely ready and financially stable and ready to have the different luxuries or cars or whatever, like just hold off. One thing that really stood out to me too, I was listening to so many podcasts by Brenna Traub recently, and she was interviewing, I think, Melinda Emerson. She's a really cool business owner. Um, she was talking about how though she grew up and her dad was like one of the most influential people in her life in regards to money and her finances and everything. And so she said she went over to his house to tell him about, how her business is taking off. She's happy and she's thinking about getting a new luxury car. And he's like, don't you bring no luxury car up in here and you don't have anywhere to park it. And for her, it was funny because it's just, of course, like, oh my goodness. But then it's like, what he's saying is like, make sure you're completely prepared. She was living in an apartment at that time, and she said it was like a shock, but it really grounded her and like, yeah, you know what? It's not important that I have this flashy stuff just to show off. Like, I need to make sure I'm legitimately solid. Like, don't buy a car when you have nowhere to park it. That's basics. So that's just something that really stood out to me. Let me know if you read these articles and what you've thought, and I'll see you later. Bye.